Capital gains were a form of income. So what happened to them? Did you get the whole capital gain? What happened? What did the government do? They took some as tax. Dividends are a form of income. So just like capital gains, they are taxed as well. Dividend tax is complicated because dividends came from profits that the company made. So it was also a form of income for the company. That's why it's weird. That's why there's all this franking and unfranking stuff. So in Australia, if you register not as a person, as a company, do you remember the tax tables when you were an individual? How much did you get taxed when you earned over $180,000? 45%. As a company, it doesn't matter what the hell you earn as a company. You could earn billions of dollars. The government is only going to tax you 30%. It doesn't change. No matter how big or how well they're doing, and depending on the company, and we already spoke about this, the company can either pay the full 30% tax, that's the fully franked, the F that we saw in the share listings from before. They could pay 30% tax on part of the profit, making it partially franked, or they could pay none of the 30% tax on the profit that goes to dividends, meaning it's unfranked. So you might remember from share listings, you saw the yield and it had FP or no letter. That's what it's about. I'll give you some time to get this. Your full understanding of this is not so important because you only have a test on it. You're not doing an assignment anymore. But this explains the series of 4 formulae that you're going to use in the actual maths. So just get that first chunk in blue. Why is it taxed? Because dividends are an income. Why is it complicated? Because it was an income for the company as well as you. So we need to do extra stuff to make sure people aren't double taxed. Unlike America, they don't mind you getting double taxed. So this black here, this is just for interest's sake. So you know that they call Australia the lucky country. That's not completely untrue. Australia has this thing called an imputation system where any tax the company already paid, we acknowledge that. Okay? So the only time you need to pay extra tax on dividends is if your tax rate is more than 30%. If the company already paid 30% tax, and your tax rate is the same, 30%, no extra. But if your tax rate is meant to be 45% and the company only paid 30%, there's a difference there. So you need to make up the difference, okay? This acknowledgement is in the form of something called an imputation credit. It just represents how much company tax is paid. There's countries like America who have no such system. So the company pays 30% tax, and then you also pay tax as well. It's just doubled up. So it's unfair. Okay? Now, maths-wise, this was mainly for the DI, but it also explains what these formula are. Clearly, the dividend tax situation is quite complicated, but all you need to do is use these 4 formulae in order. Why? Because when you work out this, it flows into the next one. When you work out this, it flows into the next one. You can't do it in any order. You must do it income declared, tax liability, tax owing, after tax return. So this is the main thing that you need for today, which I'll demonstrate, is these 4 formula that flow into each other. Get those down, please. I'll give you time. Andrew teach you how you need to go touch each other. Imputation.
So we're on the same page.
Yeah, but you can touch me.
Mr. News.
Yeah, Neil says.
Hey.
You just don't know. It's too natural. Just calm down.
What is the third one? Income declared?
Income declared unfranked amount plus franked amount plus imputation credit. Your mum would be all over this if she's an accountant.
Yeah, you should just give her a silent.
She doesn't real. We only pretend we tax the profits versus actual taxing your whole income. You're not doing a DI for this anymore. That's why you're so chill these days. If it was general maths from last year, you wouldn't be smiling so much. You'd be working in an assignment room. Oh, you'd still be smiling, would you? Let's give Danilo an assignment, just for himself. Be careful, one of my 10 ignites, it looks pretty close to getting 100%. They're finishing off their test next Monday.
Good.
Huh? Not allowed to say any names.
Wait, what does it say at the end of income declared?
Imputation credit. Yep.
What's the third one? The tax that starts with
This one here.
yeah.
Tax owing. The amount of tax you owe the government.
Does that say equal tax on or take tax on?
Which
Take,
one?
right? At the very end.
Take tax owing. If you're still getting those formula down, that's fine because I've copied and pasted them. Boys, I've copied and pasted them under here so you can still see them while we start on the example. So, this person, this is what you'll get. This is the information you'll get when you get paid dividends. You get a little grid here. Obviously, this was an ordinary shareholder. They got 15 cents per share for the 2,530 shares they had. They had no unfranked amount. So that suggests that the company paid tax on it. How do I confirm that? You got an imputation credit, which suggests that the company paid tax on this franked amount. So let's find What is the after-tax return on these dividends if this person is only supposed to be taxed at 15%? They don't earn much, okay? This person should only be taxed 15%, but what was the company rate of tax in Australia? 30. So currently, they have paid too much tax. So the government's actually going to pay this person back a little bit if we do the maths properly. So let's try that maths. We need to do it in order. Income declared equals. Is there an unfranked amount? So I'm just going to put 0 plus franked amount. What was the franked amount? $379.50 plus imputation credit. What was the imputation credit? $162.64. Use a calculator, add those together. 379.5 plus 162.64. $542.14. Okay? Why did I have to do that? Because I need that in tax liability. Tax liability equals the income declared, 542.14, times by, what was the person's marginal tax rate but as a decimal? Yeah?
0.5.
0.15 equals $81.32. I'm going to answer that because it's a last one. B17, this is big. Yeah. Student services? Yeah. Like bringing the bag or like Okay, tax owing. Why do we do tax owing next? Because you need to know the tax owing. Why do we need that? Because tax liability is part of this. Tax liability is $81.32. Take away the imputation credit, which was 162.64. Am I subtracting a larger number from a smaller one in this line? So that's going to be a negative answer. 81.32 minus 162.64, negative $81.32. What is that telling me? I owe the government negative $81.32, which means they owe me. Why? Because the company paid 30% tax, but I'm only supposed to be paying 15% tax. So I'm owed more back. I'm going to get a little more on top of the dividends because that's not my tax rate. My tax rate is lower than 30%. So we have a system to sort of make sure everyone gets what they're owed. No double taxing. Okay? So last thing, after tax return, ATR, is the unfranked and franked amount, which was $379.50. And you're taking away the tax owing. But if you take a negative number, what do you do when you've got two subtractions next to each other? What does it become? A plus. So that's going to be $379.50 plus $81.32. 379.5 plus 81.32. 460.82. Let's track this. How much money was this person supposed to get in dividends? They were supposed to get $379.50. Why did they end up with $460.82? Because the company paid too much tax and you get the difference back. Okay? Now I could show this, B, but let's logic it out. What's the only difference to these calculations, these four lines here, that's going to occur? You're not the only one in this room. Someone else. We did 15% here. If we were doing B, 45%, what would the 15% be?
Yeah, but we need to change it by 0.45.
0.45. And is this negative $81.32, is it still going to be negative 81? It's going to be positive, meaning the person owes the government. Why would they owe the government tax? Because the company paid 30% tax, but you're supposed to owe, because you're rich. I was going to say something rude, but you're rich and you owe the government 45%, so you're going to owe them the difference. Okay? Can you get that down, please? What I'll do is I'll teach the two things at the start and then you go, because the second thing is really short. The second thing is just working out this for yourself. Okay? So I'll stop the recording there.